In a region first explored on behalf of Spain and France in the 1500s and settled by the English, Welsh, and Scots-Irish in the 1720s, New Hanover County, North Carolina, was established in 1729 and named for King George II of the House of Hanover. Approximately midway along this geographically and topographically blessed shoreline lies Bradley Creek, named for the Bradley family whose roots in the region reach back to its earliest settlement days. Across the water from where the Bradley home once stood in what is now Airlie Gardens lies Bradley Creek Marina. Opened as Bradley Creek 66 Marina to much fanfare over July 10th through the 12th, 1964. The facility was heralded as being located in the heart of one of coastal Carolina's fastest-growing resort and recreation areas. The dedicated special section of the Star News went on for 12 full pages, extolling the beautiful and advantageous location, pre-stressed concrete construction, and unrivaled range of services, with quotes such as, "Its natural surroundings and those molded by the hands of man provide a delectable treat, rarely equaled in such a great abundance." Received a 3-star rating, the highest offered. It is believed to be equipped better than the famous Pier 66 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and, within a few miles' distance from the marina, can be found a treasure chest of adventure and excitement ranging to the famous fishing waters of the Atlantic to small, unexplored islands jutting irregularly along the intracoastal waterway. During the grand opening, the public was invited for guided tours, refreshments were served, new model boats were displayed, and gift certificates ranging from $10 to $50 were awarded. Gene McWatty, an avid boater, and Garland Palmer, a prominent business executive, partnered to bring to life what was once a dream of McWatty's. McWatty served as the new entity's first president, Palmer as vice president. A private yacht club located at the head of its namesake waters, Bradley Creek Marina provides easy access to the intracoastal waterway and the Atlantic Ocean via Masonboro Inlet. This protected harbor has been home port for countless families, fishermen, and boating enthusiasts across the region and across the decades. In anticipation of celebrating its 60th anniversary in 2024, a few of those who have been a part of it through the years shared their stories.
I grew up here in Wilmington. Mainly grew up on Riceville Beach. Coming over here to the marina when it was brand new. They had a restaurant there. I always came down here. My mother gave me money to come down here and get hot dogs. They had great hot dogs here. So I'd ride my bike down here and got to know some friends. And I always wanted a boat. I always dreamed of having a boat. And I got to know a couple people under the covered shed, and they'd take me fishing. But we had a great time here. It was just a great place. A lot of good people.
Well, I'm C.L. McKenzie, and I'm one of the few lifelong Wilmington residents, it seems. In my neighborhood, everybody says, "What, you've been here all your life?" Because very few people have today, it seems. But I grew up right here, as well as my wife grew up about 3 houses up the creek. At that time, I would play right in this area, right? I had footsteps where I'm probably washing my boat off today is where I walked back then. And we'd come down here and play all day long. I don't know what the parents were thinking, but I'd stay here all day long playing. If you stayed too late and it got dark, it was scary going home. Of course, we had to cross the highway here, but it wasn't but a 2-lane road. Didn't see a car hardly ever anyway. When the old bridge was here, it really wasn't much. And the trestle, the pieces of it are still there on the other side of this bridge. That was the old streetcar line trestle that the streetcar went across to the beach, all the way up Park Avenue from Wilmington. Tidewater Power Company owned that system, and they built the Lumina, and they would run that streetcar to the Lumina. That's the way you got to Riceville Beach.
I'm Jean Anderson Lawler. I'm a 3rd-generation Wilmingtonian. So I've lived in Wilmington all my life and grew up on Riceville Beach, coming to Bradley Creek Marina. My father had a boat slip down here in the early 60s. And we just grew up coming to the marina. One of my favorite memories is they had a galley down here, and we'd come down. I'd go fishing with my dad early in the morning, and we'd eat breakfast, and then we'd stay out till about 11 o'clock or 12 fishing. Then we'd come in and I'd meet my friends. They'd come down. We'd meet them. We'd eat lunch down at the galley, and then we'd ski all afternoon.
Many members of the marina have loved their time growing up here. But how about those that work to keep the marina running smoothly?
May of '68 is when I got involved with the marina. I was hired by the manager then, Jeff Becker. I can remember the first job they gave me to do was to go wash a new boat that they had for sale on Pier 2. It was a 34-foot pacemaker, wooden hulled boat. When I graduated from UNCW, I guess I didn't want to be a dock boy all my life or run forklifts all my life, so at the time, the manager, Garland Palmer, who was my direct boss, who was mainly did all the selling, asked me would I like to learn to sell boats. And I said, yeah, I haven't got anything else to do. Let's give it a try.
My name is Jonathan Cruz. Started working here summer of 1999 when I was in college. Grew on me so much that I'm here 20 some odd years later. I worked up from a dock hand after a couple of years to being the dock master, basically being in charge of the outside guys on day-to-day stuff and maintenance items and whatnot. And then 2016 was promoted to the general manager. So we're basically in charge of all staff and capital improvement projects and everything.
My name is Kathy Raines, and I'm the office manager here at Bradley Creek Yach Club, and I've been here since the fall of 2016. And my duties include the sales and the rentals of all the slips here at the marina, and I also handle all the accounting administrative duties.
The marina continued to thrive for many years, and in 1980, George Harris and Buddy Gerald bought the marina from Gene McWatty and introduced the concept, if not also a new word, boatominium.
My dad, George Harris Sr., and his partner, Buddy Gerald, were in the restaurant business with Annabelle's, and at some point they decided to sell Annabelle's. Campbell Soup Company purchased it, and they looked for another investment and found Bradley Creek 66 Marina.
I did know the individuals that purchased it from the original owner. They had been attempting that for several years, but they didn't want to run it. The whole 3 months I think he was in the Bahamas, he kept kind of trying to come up with a concept that he and his partner could buy at the price McWatty wanted at the time, and then get out of it quick. JB, Mr. Gerald, had the attached land behind, had an idea for condos. The man just had a vision that he could make people see. George, his partner, was the financial. Mr. Gerald was the idea. These boatominiums that they built were probably the last projects they did together. I was shocked. He would say, you gotta come down here and notarize, da, 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 da. And I go, okay, I'll be there with 7 people. And he come back to the office and I go, I'm sorry, but can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. I said, who would pay money for a hole in the water? I've never understood it. He did. And it sold quickly. And McWatty, I think, was surprised because they ended up recouping what they'd paid.
Around 2016, the marina met with some difficulties.
When I first got here in the fall of 2016, there had been some turnover in the management in the marina. And it was a very difficult time for a lot of members here, and there was some financial difficulties that were going on. So it was very challenging at the beginning, but it took a couple of years, but the marina is doing so well now financially and very stable.
So back in 2016, we had an interesting situation develop whereby we kind of felt things weren't being run quite the way they should have been here at the marina.
I joined up with Clayton and Tommy King and I don't know, there's another dozen more. We all had a lot of the same concerns as what's going on here with the marina.
So a group of us got together, did some due diligence on things, and sure enough, we found that we had some issues. And so we, across two different boards, spent the next couple of years rectifying those issues, and we're very transparent with the membership about what we were doing. And in a period of 2 to 3 years, did a very successful turnaround.
Over the decades, the marina has faced other challenges, including several direct hits by hurricanes.
Hurricane Fran, 1996. That was my first real memory of a bad hurricane. I had met an employee of the marina at UNCW. He was graduating, I was just starting, Brock Lynch, and he asked me if I wanted to work at the marina. And of course I jumped at the chance. And my first day was the day before Fran, and mostly involved tying down boats in dry storage with dock lines. We didn't have any safety lines or a man basket. We just climbed up and tied boats down as best we could and hoped for the best. And then the next morning we realized that our efforts were in vain.
When Hurricane Fran hit, I had just bought a new boat, and Billy Edwards, which had a new boat right behind me, he just bought a new boat. So we actually stayed on the boats, and we had the old docks in, and we were changing the lines back and forth, and I think I had like 6, 8 lines on my bow of the boat. When the storm was over, I had one left. And we woke up the next morning and all the floating docks from up the creek were all in our parking lot. You couldn't even get in the marina or out of the marina. It was completely full of floating docks, and there was actually a big sailboat tied to one of the docks in our parking lot up there.
Some of our boats ended up in the parking lot at Bradley Creek Marina. One of our friends, the boat's name is Ship Happens, and then it ended up in the parking lot at Bradley Creek Marina.
Throughout the years I've been here, we've had several hurricanes that have damaged our facility to varying degrees. The last of which was Hurricane Florence in 2018, which led to us replacing a lot of our dry storage docks back here that were 30 years old, that just were tired and didn't survive.
I can recall many hurricanes back in the early days in the 70s and all, when it was a private marina. We felt responsible to help protect the boats in the marina, so we didn't just close up and go home when the storm came. We actually spent the night down here and stayed here, and each of us would have a dock to monitor, where you'd retie the lines and slacken them or tighten them as need be, or if a line breaks, you'd have to replace it. When these storms came and we all pitched in to help, obviously there was a lot of camaraderie, because you were down here. We weren't at home protecting our own homes. We were all down here protecting everybody's boat. But that was just something we felt like we needed to do. We just didn't want to leave the marina unattended.
This marina is probably the best protected marina in this part of the country. Back in earlier days, they used to, people used to try to come down here and rent temporary slips for the hurricanes.
Most of the time for storm preparation, I mean, this marina is so stable, especially now with the concrete docks and the pilings are so tall, you can pretty much tie your boat down here with ropes and be safe.
A couple of fires damaged the marina as well. The first one happened on September 7th, 1991 at the facility next door, now Creekside Marina. It was then known as Boathouse Marina.
I don't live too far from here, and I noticed we were coming home from some friend's house, and I noticed, even though it was clear as a bell, there was what I thought were clouds in the sky, and it turned out to not be clouds. It turned out to be the dry storage building of Creekside, and I walked the back way to get over there, and it was just amazing. That building was cherry red. It was so hot, and there were flames shooting out of both sides of the building. It took the fire department hours to put it out.
But it was awesome sound. The fire was, the whole side of the building was red hot. You could hear the boats burning. You could hear the motors falling off the boats and hitting the concrete floor, and it was just one hell of a fire.
Fire struck again, this time on January 7th, 2017, at Bradley Creek.
Another notable thing too, 2017 we had a boat fire on Dock 3, which ended up totaling 3 yachts and damaging our floating roof structure. That was a very, very cold night, about 17 degrees and frozen water from the fire department, and that all happened at 2 a.m. You get a phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning that there's a fire at your marina, and that's not a fun phone call to get. That was a long night.
Fortunately, the good times at Bradley Creek Marina have far outweighed the challenges.
Talking about the fun things that happen here that I've been involved with, we do an annual oyster roast, which is always a lot of fun. Fortunately, it's usually a little chilly out when we do it, and this past year we had perfect weather and about 250 people here. So lots of fun, lots of music, and a couple of young people that unfortunately have to cook hamburgers and hot dogs for those who don't like oysters, but they do a great job of it. And we also we had an opportunity to work with the Children's Museum here in town, a couple of different occasions for a fundraiser called Yacht Venture. And that's where we reach out to the boat owners here and say, hey, if you'd be interested in helping out with the Children's Museum, bring your boat, let people go on it, talk about your boat, talk about your experiences boating, and then they raise money by selling tickets. And it's always a beautiful night, so a lot of fun. Look forward to doing that again this year.
One of our other traditions that my family and I would like to do every year is go to the flotilla, and we just have that good family social time.
Bradley Creek has actually really become part of my life because, like I said, I come every afternoon around 3, 7 days a week, and some of my friends will come down. We'll sit on the boat. Or I have a couple of lounge chairs out behind my boat, and when the weather's available, we sit outside, and we still have cookouts down there, but not like the huge ones we used to have.
We also, because of Kathy, work with a group called masonboro.org, which is a great organization that helps kids in town who have never had a chance to see the beach. Get on a boat, go out to one of the barrier islands here and have a good day. So again, people it's a really good, warm family feeling here, if that makes sense. People enjoy it.
I'm sure that when this marina was built, when it was even thought of, that the people in Wilmington thought Gene McWatty was out of his mind, because this was all one big mud flat. But he developed it into a workable marina. And the vision was truly great at that time. And we're fortunate that there have been people with the foresight to keep this marina going. So as we know, Bradley Creek is 60 years old. That means we constantly have to do changes. Some of the other interesting things we've done in the past couple of years to make it easy for our members is we've relocated the launch lanes. So if you're an old member, you realize that the launch lanes used to be close to Oleander Drive. Now they're much closer to Creekside. Moving those was really helpful because now our members don't walk behind forklifts, so it's much safer.
and easier to get boats in and out of, frankly. We also, where the old lunch lanes were, put a beautiful deck, which can hold 25 or 30 people or more to just go relax, enjoy the water after they come home. So we're always looking for improvements and ways to make things better, and we think we're doing a pretty good job.
We work hard to work together, not only as a staff, but also make sure that all of our members and our renters here are happy and they have everything they need to have an enjoyable experience on the water. During my time here at the marina, I have just come to love this marina so much, and the staff, all of our members, everybody that's here. My daughter enjoys coming here now and being part of the marina. I just feel so fortunate that I get to do this job every day. How lucky can one be to be able to come and look at boats and water all day and be with such an incredible staff and be on the water.
Bradley Creek's always been a special place. I've always had a pride of the marina. It was not something that my dad and his partner built, but they took an existing organization and really changed it into something that has been shared.
So I always liked Bradley Creek Marina because, like I said, I used to ride my bike down here at 10 years old and watch and dream of owning a boat all the time, and it was a safe place. You could come here and people kind of looked after you here, and so it was just always a great place to go, and it's I could just about live here, to be honest with you.
Of course, there are many others who have been a part of the Bradley Creek Marina story in its 6 decades of existence, no doubt with their own memories to share or to keep close in their hearts. As the marina nears its 60th anniversary, its history is to be celebrated, and its future is to be greatly anticipated. As one member after another has said, times here have been mighty good, and they are only getting better.